listening to Pop This, the podcast where three women talk about pop culture. Here are your hosts, Lisa Christiansen, Andrea Gin, and Andrea Warner.
So I was wondering if either of you have this problem I have. So I had granola for breakfast, and then I had a salad for lunch.
With granola.
No, I know, I'm still on the granola thing. And then I come home, and there happened to be some cheesecake in the fridge. And yes, how did that happen, Lisa? Well, I bought it, and it's been sitting there. And I think, oh, well, I'm not really hungry for dinner, but I could go for a piece of cheesecake, you know? So I cut that,
Sure.
and then I eat that, and then I go, now I could really go for something savory. You know, I just had something sweet.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So then I'm looking for a little savory salad or something. And then I finish that, and I'm like, I'd really go for something sweet now. It's a never-ending cycle.
Cheesecake sandwich. So just cheesecake, salad, cheesecake?
I feel like I could do something a little bit more adventurous, but it was dangerous doing the cheesecake for dinner because it seemed like a good idea. But after I was like, this is not satisfying. You're not full. You skipped dinner. You just had dessert. But it sounded so indulgent. And, I thought, I'm an adult. I can spoil my meals if I want to. And
it has protein.
Cheese.
It has protein.
Lisa, you just learn a little bit with every day of life. This is Joni Mitchell's song.
Yeah.
That's you.
And if I could, put a message out to anyone, cheesecake won't work for dinner. I do know it works well for breakfast, though. Perfect for breakfast.
Actually, I do think cheesecake for breakfast is genius.
Yeah.
That's really smart. And I honestly think cheesecake's good anytime. And I agree that it's not a substitute for dinner, but I really think back to the Golden Girls. I think they had it smart, just always having a cheesecake. And I've never been a getting up in the middle of the night person, to eat. That's just not historically my vibe.
No, I've never done that either.
I really liked how they would just gather around a cheesecake at 2 or 3 in the morning. Have a middle of the night snack all together in their various muumuus and robes and dish and do stuff and then go back to bed.
Perfect. Yeah.
I'm not entirely against reversing dessert and dinner if you're a dessert person. Because sometimes you have dinner and then you're like, I'm too full for dessert. And then you just never get to really enjoy dessert. And so I think if you're got a sweet tooth and you like desserts, having a dessert at 4 p.m. or something, then having dinner, I think that's not a bad idea.
But then, see, here's the problem, though. Then this is the thing. Then do you feel like after dinner, that little sweet thing? Because I do feel like the sweet and the savory, they satisfy two very, very different longings in me.
You have to, this is where you're coming into your hard candy years, Lisa.
It's time to keep a little bag of hard candy?
One Werther's.
Yeah.
Yeah, just one
exactly.
Werther's for after dinner.
Or a square, have a chocolate or something.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so depressing sounding. Oh my God. A square. My mom does that every night. She has a square of chocolate.
Yeah, but just eat 2 desserts. That's okay.
I know. It just,
hear me out on this. So you have the one type of cheesecake before, and then you have a second piece of cheesecake. But if you really want to be all I'm going to make this cheesecake a little different, add a preserve, throw a chia seed on it. Just do something a little bit different to mix it up.
Hey, wait. What are we even talking about? Because I feel like Lisa's been eating granola for 3 months straight
Pretty
at
much,
this point.
Yeah.
So obviously you just do whatever you want to. You're not following any
I'm not following any rules. No.
rules. So.
And to be honest, probably the main attraction to the cheesecake was it was there and it was finished and complete, because my most favorite thing is leftovers. But how I've learned you can't have leftovers without actually making the meal the day before.
Oh, yeah,
So I was very jealous
Yeah.
from our dinner on Saturday night that we had, our Pop This meat dinner, is just imagining all those leftovers. And I was so jealous.
I gotta say,
opening up
it's
the
like,
fridge and finding it all there.
It was nice.
yeah, I can imagine. Like, I don't really like leftovers. We know this about me, but like, I will say the revelation from dinner that I could find a gravy that I enjoyed. Now, I'm not saying I slathered anything in gravy. You know that. Like, you know, we were all at the same table.
You did the most petite, like, dip in a gravy I've ever seen anyone do.
But I still enjoyed a gravy. This is,
Yeah.
I mean, I've only previously ever enjoyed a miso gravy.
What's your problem with gravy? Yeah. Like, what is it?
I don't like sauces that much. We've been through this. Like, I don't like pizza sauce. I don't like a lot of sauce on my pasta. Barely like soup.
But it's like the form of it. You don't like sort of liquidy things.
Yeah, I don't really care for anything that's super wet as a meal.
Wow, it never occurred to me to think of it as wet.
That's because I'm a texture queen. This is my problem. It's a bit of an issue. Yeah.
Oh man, I can't get enough sauces. I am the exact opposite. I think I even said this at dinner. I said, to me, food only exists to put a sauce on it.
I feel like a lot of people share your sentiment. Like, I am definitely in the minority here in terms of my sauce opinions.
Like I'm like Eggs Benedict, sure, whatever. Hollandaise, yeah, that is where it's at.
Oh, I hate hollandaise. I think it's revolting.
I love it so much. And someone made a steak and I had béarnaise sauce on it. I just thought I was going to die. It was so good.
No, couldn't be me. So sorry.
But so, like, you're sort of very tiny, dipping your toes into the world of gravy the other day. Is this sort of, are you going to work your way into trying more gravies?
I mean, it's not like I've never tried them. I've just never really liked them. And actually, you know what? It's not the newest thing. In the pandemic, when we'd sometimes get fancy takeout from Les Faux Bourgeois, and they have a black peppercorn steak sauce on their steak frites, and I really like that. So I think the gravy is my second step now. And, you know, will other sauces await me? Probably, because I'm trying more things. Like, I've continued to expand my palate substantially over the last, 20 years. But
what about a hot fudge sundae?
I don't mind it, but I, again, don't like a ton of fudge. And I kind of prefer it when it's like a caramel sundae is more my speed than a hot fudge.
Okay.
But if you can get the two of them together, like just good friends, that's nice.
Oof. Oh, my gosh. No, look what we've done. I shouldn't even have started this conversation.
So sorry. Are you hungry right now?
Well, because I only had cheesecake for dinner.
You only had cheesecake. Oh my God. All right. Well, look, I honestly, one of the things that I love most about what we're going to talk about, and I haven't watched the whole thing, obviously, we're only talking about the first 2 episodes, but how heartily they center food and baking appreciation. I mean, you know, it obviously comes to the side of fat shaming, which, you know, not my favorite, but the love of food in this show in the first 2 episodes is heartwarming to me. I love it.
I know.
Absolutely.
And when have we seen a sort of assassin battle scene with the backdrop of the Great British Bake Off?
I haven't yet. And I
or such a love of churros. It was very beautiful.
It's so beautiful. I
do agree about the churro, though. I mean, come on, let's be honest. I mean, that is a miracle.
It's a perfect food. Well, let's get into it. I'm Andrea Warner.
I'm Lisa Christiansen.
I'm Andrea Gin.
And we are talking... Oh, welcome to Pop This. Sorry, I was so excited to get talking about what we're talking about. We're talking about The Brother's Son. I've only watched the first 2 episodes. I love it so much.
Yes. It's, well, for those who aren't sure what it is, it's Michelle Yeoh's latest TV project, available on Netflix. Pause the show. Go watch it now if you haven't, because it's amazing.
And you burned through all of it, right?
Well, I haven't quite finished it yet.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. I have a couple episodes left.
Okay. Because I was like,
Well, how
oh,
many
no,
are there in
AG's
total?
gonna be-
8? 8? 8. Okay. Yeah.
I was worried you were going to be just dropping hints and spoilers the whole time. Lisa, you just went through the first 2 as well, right?
I just went through the first 2, and Netflix, you make a mistake, and so a little bit of the third, because I forgot to pause it. It just goes for you. Yeah. But it was a good cliffhanger.
It took all my control to like not press play to go into the next one. Like I had a very good time with it. Would you like to read the background, AG?
Sure. The Brother's Son is an American action comedy drama television series created by Byron Wu and Brad Falchuk for Netflix. It premiered on January 4th, 2024, and stars Michelle Yeoh, Justin Chien, and Sam Song Lee.
Thank you so much. Lisa, would you like to do the synopsis?
Sure. When the head of Taiwanese triad, the Jade Dragons, is shot by an assassin, the eldest son, Charles Chairleg's son, heads to Los Angeles to protect his mother and brother, who's been completely sheltered from the truth of his family until now. That was my until now. It wasn't really actually bolded. I just decided to read it.
No, I liked it. It was a dramatic pause, and
Thank you.
it suited the opening of the show, because I just want to say, like, the outline that we always write for like our discussion, especially when we're doing TV shows, it's often so difficult to stay unspoiled. I have become so good at selectively reading and then and then like it's as if I render myself like sightless for certain paragraphs of ways to the show is talked about. So this is not the most complete outline you've ever seen, but I feel like I was able to pull a few things that are good reference points for us to chat about. Like there's stuff I feel that's been set up that like we don't know about yet. And so this is like one of those shows where you're just like, oh God, are we going to have to end up talking about this again? Like when we're done it all? Like, is that what's going to happen? It might be.
It might have to do a small recap at an episode in the future.
Yeah, like we don't know what's gonna happen.
No.
So anyway, impressions right away. AG, I think you watched it first, and you told us it's amazing. So tell us your impressions.
I wasn't quite sure what to expect, but I just loved the show from the first few scenes with Charles baking in his gorgeous apartment in Taipei. Like when you open the scene and just looking into that apartment with the interior staircase, where you just like, that's got to be the most amazing apartment. Like, what's upstairs? Are they going to show us upstairs?
So beautiful.
Yeah. And then, just kind of, they've done such an excellent job here just setting up these characters, these two brothers, as being like complete opposites. And it starts with the scenes of Charles like meticulously baking with the bake-off show in his meticulous apartment, and it's like juxtaposed from when they go to LA, and his younger brother is just like comes home and is eating like a day-old bao out of the fridge that he heats up in the microwave and like puts a little hot sauce on. Like it's I think they're like the way they have depicted Asian families in this series is so magical and perfect. Like there are several times when I just like screamed while I was watching it, because like the idea that the younger brother Bruce can't really understand Chinese very well.
Yeah.
And when they're speaking Chinese, they put up subtitles. But when like they did that one shot of Bruce and his understanding of what they were saying, and like most of the words were just deleted.
Yeah, it was like so
erased.
Funny.
Yeah, that was very funny.
That is exactly me when I was a kid, like listening to my parents talk. Like, like most of the words not understood. Every like fifth word I understood. Yeah, and just this like complete loss at what. Well, because like, my parents would switch to speaking Chinese when they didn't want us to understand what they were saying. Anyway.
Yeah.
It's excellent. What have you thought so far, both of you?
Lisa, you go ahead first.
Well, I feel it's like a little bit slow, and I'm hoping like I'll stay with it, but I feel like, I mean, it has a sort of predictable feel to me right now, which is that kind of thwart the ideas and what we have of gangs and things. Like he's into cooking and he wants to do improv, and mom's the tougher one and all that. So I feel like I've seen that kind of stuff before. So I'm hoping it takes off in some other directions. Also, I'm a bit confused about when it is, because when he was standing by the calendar, it said 2016. And also their phones are really old. So I'm not sure what time this is. Did anyone else notice that?
That's interesting. Well, I just figured the phones were old because they're because of gang stuff. Like they don't want to be tracked.
Is that really what it is? Because I thought it said 2016 on the calendar, unless she left it up or something.
I didn't.
Well, okay. So that's like a Chinese family thing too, because you get every Chinese parent kind of hoards those calendars because you get them every Chinese New Year from like your favorite bakery or whatever. And I like if you go over to my parents' house right now, there's a calendar from 2016 up in their laundry room.
Really? Oh,
so
okay.
I guess you wouldn't know what year it was either.
No, I was trying to, with the phones and the 2016, I was a bit confused. So I think from reviews I've read, and I've done the same thing you are, trying not to read ahead, is that as the show progresses, the women become much more interesting and stronger and more complex and more like involved. And I think that'll be good because right now I just find the sort of, I don't know, just the obviousness of the two brothers not getting on. And I find, like I'm looking forward to it subverting some more for me.
Gotcha. Well, I have to admit, I love it. I'm very in love with Charles. I think the actor is, let's face it, downright dreamy.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
Oh my God. And I love his performance as well. And I love the sly comedy that he brings to the character, who doesn't have a lot of like comedic chances, like, cause he's so serious and there's been so much put on him. But I'm really enjoying that. I'm a big fan of like the inventive creative choreography, like using household items like as your props in your extremely heightened violence is never not delicious to me. Like if you poke out a man's eye with an umbrella end, I am in. Bash a man over the head with a pineapple and then skewer his face. Like, oh my God. Like that's really right up my alley in terms of like a mixture of sort of like high octane violence and action and like comedy and also just like cool set deck. Like I like to think about what goes into everyone's brains when they're planning all this choreography and how it's like, I just think it's so creative and so interesting. So I'm really sold on that, and the juxtaposition of the baking, et cetera, et cetera. I also like, I think that the ways in which they have set up like the various big fight scenes also in the different settings, like you have like this ridiculous club and you have May, my favorite gang leader, I think maybe ever, and R.I.P. May. I'm so sorry to people who I loved her, and I was sad to lose her so quickly because I thought her character was brilliant, and I was really looking forward to spending more time with her. But I just and then to go to that inflatable dinosaur birthday party where you just have the Jurassic Park like ode as well. Like everything about it really, really works for me on every level, and curious as to where it's gonna go with like these other, with the assistant DA that like knows Charles from when they were children together in Taiwan, and I'm really excited to see what happens with like Michelle's character, because I just even just like watching her do it, like that series of shots where she's holding her hands apart, like about a foot apart, and you don't really know what she's doing, but she keeps going to all these different places and she's holding like, and you're waiting to find out how it's going to pay off. And then it turns out that she was like he's a giant man. He's got a giant shoe. And like, it's so obvious, but it's so funny. And I like to see I like it when tough moms call out their son's sort of inherent sexist assumptions about them. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I like that tension there. So anyway, I'm just like really delighted. I like a sibling dynamic that's like fraught, but like obviously still close in their own way. So I'm like looking forward to that as well, because I think that speaks to me.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I didn't feel like I saw much of Michelle in the first 2 episodes. I felt like there was very little of her.
Oh, yeah,
actually.
You want more of her. Like, you want
that's
more.
what I mean, especially since,
she becomes more prominent as the series goes along.
Yeah, I hope so, because I feel like I haven't seen a lot of her in the first 2 episodes, and maybe this is another cultural thing, so you can tell me, but I find the whole sort of like, hey, Mom, just curious about how it seems like our family's a gang. Yeah, go to bed. You've got a test in the morning. Like, it just felt like there wasn't very much talked about there.
Well, I mean, it's okay. So what this show nails really well is the difference between the 2 brothers. Like, Charles is this sort of like, fit on it. He's the son that like is relied upon. He's like he's the protector of the family, and Bruce is this like very soft boy, and it's like this long running thing. Like, if North American Chinese go back to Asia to visit relatives like China or Taiwan, it's like as soon as you step off the plane, everybody knows you're not like Asian from Asia because you look soft. Like, it's like this undescribable kind of thing, but like, it's the only word to use is like soft. And they just like, everybody knows right away. They can spot you a mile away when you get off the plane. You don't even have to open your mouth and say anything. But so like, they're just, I think that is a cultural thing, because like, they're just really playing on this idea that like, Bruce is like the coddled baby of the family who grew up in North America. And, like, there's that one line where he's talking about his, like, how he wants to do improv. And he's just like so into improv, which is a hilarious storyline, because like no Asian people can imagine ever telling their parents that they want to do improv. Like, it's not possible. You just wouldn't do it.
Well, yeah.
But like, they're just like, choosing what you want to do, we call that being American. In Taiwan, we call that being American. And it's just like, Bruce is like the soft boy who's his mom's little baby, who's like choosing what he wants to do in life. Like, it's just like, you're just basically seen as this like soft, kind of useless person.
But to be fair to Bruce, I mean, life hasn't seemed particularly fun. They don't like look like they have very much money.
But the idea that his mom telling him to go to bed and he just does it, like, that's not far-fetched.
Okay, yeah.
I remember like going to I would spend a lot of different time in a lot of different friends' houses when I was a kid, and there definitely, depending on whose home we were going into, there were the parents who you never argued with. You just did what you were told. And the parents that you could, sort of push back a little bit and have a conversation. I feel like I've literally witnessed the interaction between, like, it didn't involve body parts or questions about gang stuff, but also just in general, like from a family secret standpoint, I actually have like there's some relatability there for me, in that there are just things that some people in my family refuse to talk about. They will never talk about it. If I find out about it, it might only be if they decide to write me a letter that is then mailed to me after they die. You know what I mean? Like, it just, there's just like, I am never going to hear about it, even if I know that something I know that something exists, I will never find out about it. And it's just very like definitive, like, this is not knowledge for you, young person. This is knowledge that I am going to protect you from.
It's like I said, like when I was young, my parents would just start speaking Chinese to each other. So when they didn't want us to understand what they were saying, and it was just like, that was how it is. There's some things that like we weren't to hear about.
Yeah, no, that's I just thought he took it pretty well that he'd seen 10 people die and that, and his family are gangsters and he's got a test in the morning. Okay. He seems to take this all very well.
It's that improv class. Like, that's how we see it paying off. He's just like, yes, and the entire time.
Exactly. Yeah. But it would upset me to find out that, like that my family was extremely wealthy and I've been like trying to scrape money together, to do anything and live in this, really modest home. Like, yeah.
Yeah, but I think, like we also see it from the other side. Like Charles is really hurt by the fact that his mother and his brother left him in Taiwan and his mom left him. You can see that.
And he's basically had his life being built into like a cold-blooded assassin. Like that just seems like so that is such a specific inheritance that you have to work for. Like that's so rough. I gotta say. And like it's interesting to me to like think about the ways in which, and again, Charles just gets to be like a more compelling character because he has all these like sides to him. Like we know immediately that he's got this like attention to detail for baking, that we know eventually that he used to be fat. We know that he was, virtually abandoned by his mom and brother. And that he's really known like hardness. Like he's been groomed for like sort of this bloodthirsty protector role. And it's a little bit at odds with these other things that we know that he really cares about, like churros. And I love that this, I just love that like we're getting to sort of explore that a little bit. I hope that Bruce's layers get a little bit more fleshed out too. And I did like it when he says to his mom, I ran towards the danger. That's not like soft boy material. And I thought that was like really interesting. Like, I think it's nice to see these characters sort of.
Yeah. But then she dismissed it completely.
She did. Yeah. But I think but that's going to be part of the story, right? Is like her having to understand that these like two young men that she has, she's their parents and has given birth to these two young men, that they have to like exist in a world that she maybe can't protect them from in the way that she kind of expects herself to. Like, I feel like we're gonna like see that played with a lot more, and I'm excited about that.
One other question: Did anyone else find the DA was the woman that did you find her vest outfit odd? It was a very peculiar outfit.
I actually was wondering about the vest.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't remember it.
I thought it was such a specific choice, and I really liked it to a certain extent, because I feel like her character, like she's got these aspirations that we sort of they're alluded to by the cop that she's working with. The vest is so specifically like person in charge, but resisting any kind of like sort of gendered stereotype. You know what I mean? Like she has to be tough. So this vest is part of that toughness. And I thought that was super fascinating.
I just don't think I've ever seen such a long vest. I mean, maybe like in the 70s, like maybe Maude wore it or something like that. Like it had that kind of look to it.
Yeah. And that does add to sort of like the timelessness of it.
That's
like,
what
what is the place and what is the time? Yeah.
I was wondering that exactly. And then it was really hard to tell on that sort of very drab college or university he was going to. Like it was really, like that could be any time ever.
Yeah, that's true. I find the costuming to be I mean, it is. I think the costuming is quite genius on this show.
Did you see the vest? Did you find the picture of her?
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, now I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But also, like, you know, like in the first few scenes, like Bruce, when we were introduced to him, he's wearing that, like, panda, like, smoking dope on his sweatshirt.
Yeah.
That's such, like, a perfect Bruce sweatshirt.
Uh-huh.
And later on, yeah, we see lots of other totally memeable outfits happening.
But just like May's backpack, like the really cute apron that they use to carve up, like when they're carving up the body. Just honestly, just carrying that head around, like that's such a...
Okay, they carried the head around in my exact Longchamp bag. I own that exact bag.
You know, and so does Asian women love that bag.
It's a great bag.
And so it's like very accurate that they would have one lying around the house.
Yeah, that's and I carried it this morning to work and no head was in it though.
No head.
No head. Mm-mm.
When we got the water lizard.
Oh,
I can't remember the name of the when he came out with that thing, I could not stop laughing. And then when the lizard breaks through the car seat and starts to eat the head, God, you guys, it made me laugh so hard.
I hate animals in movies though, because I'm always like, oh no, what's going to happen to this poor lizard? And when he went into that place with all the animals, there was that beautiful lynx or something or some kind of cat. And I feel horrible when I see that.
You know what Carlos told me, and I don't know if this will make you feel better, but he read that almost every scene like that now in TV and film, almost all of the animals are CGI.
Really? Oh my God. Even that, so that guy was probably CGI?
That makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yep.
Oh, that makes so much sense. And that's so great. Oh, God, because animals don't know they're acting. I mean, what a pain that must have been for them for years. Yes. You have no idea how much better I feel.
Good. Yeah. I get it.
I recognize the hypocrisy of all of my fear for the animals, and I saw probably 30 to 50 people dead. I understand that I've got a problem. I get it.
It's a different dynamic.
They were bad guys, though. They were bad guys.
Well, this is the kind of show where you're supposed to like not be too distressed about body count. And because if you spend all your time being distressed about body count in this show, you're not going to see anything else.
No, I gave up on that a long time ago.
Yeah.
But I worried about that animal.
A lot of dead people.
Yeah. Oh, there's so many dead people. I don't even know how many people died in that explosion in that club.
Yeah, good question.
Yeah. But what I do like too about this is that we're seeing kind of like different parts of LA that normally we don't see on screen. You know, like where working class families live in LA and what their houses look like, and just like the Asian club hangouts. Like I think some of that was probably shot in Koreatown, and it's just like we're getting to see an aspect of LA that is really against the stereotype of what we think of when we think of LA.
Yeah, like this is an actual like an LA beyond just rich white people. It's very it's because LA is so much more than that on so many levels, but like that is often the only thing that the camera like makes space for, or Hollywood makes space for. And so like this really feels just even something as simple as like everyone crowding around the most famous churro cart in the neighborhood that happens to be on campus, like, but also just like going into like the mahjong room and like going in all these restaurants and all of these like shoe plate, you know, like all of these different things. Like the other thing that I really personally have loved so much, the soundtrack has so many Asian musicians, some like a lot of whom I already love, but a few who are new to me, and like it is great. Like it's not exclusively Asian artists, but like it's a high percentage and it's so good. It's fantastic. And I'm very delighted to sort of be like having this playlist made for us through this show. Like that's great.
Yeah, I agree. I love hearing covers done in Mandarin or Cantonese of like pop songs.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
that too. Yeah. No, that's
Yeah.
yeah. I could listen to that all day. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like, and like Toro y Moi, like he's so good, been around forever. And I just am delighted to like, I don't know, just to hear him featured so prominently. Like he's been in both episodes so far, his music. And I just like, I don't know. I feel like I remember interviewing him in like 2008. And I was just like, this guy is so cool. And he's still so cool. Like to maintain that level of cool for like 15 years. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we can do it, but other people.
Well, Michelle Yeoh can do it. For
Yeah,
like,
Michelle
absolutely.
Yeoh can
Yeah.
do it. Oh my God.
yeah.
I just like,
how long has she been a star now? Like 30, 35 years. Like she's had such an amazing career. Everything from being a Bond girl to Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Like she just has had like so many high points in her career over such a long period of time. And when I was recommending this, The Brother's Son as my recommendation, like an episode ago, I was like, oh yeah, like this, I think this is the best thing that she's done so far. And I was thinking about that. And I just think it's like when she got, all those accolades for Everything Everywhere All at Once, I was reading an interview with her and she was like, this is the first film that I've been in that I feel like I've really gotten a chance to do what I'm capable of doing. And, like she's been in dozens and dozens of films in her career. And I think this is a continuation of that. Like she gets to be the main character and she gets to have an interior life and she gets to be funny. She gets to be dramatic. She gets to be serious. Like she can just show off this whole range of character that is in her arsenal, which I think maybe she did not get the opportunity to do before when she's in a martial arts movie or like she has to play this like serious, dignified kind of stereotype of an Asian person. She gets to be comedic now, at this stage in her career. And I think that's just so amazing that she's like now showing off all of her acting chops,
yeah. Because
It's kind of funny though too to have such to have such a glamorous career and then decide like, now I'm going to be like this, ordinary mom at home. Well, not in being a Taiwanese gang member, but you know what I mean? Like it's an interesting
But
turn.
like that's exactly like she's playing like her last, like Everything Everywhere All at Once in this movie. Like she's playing humble mothers.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think it's amazing because like I think that's something she's always been interested in doing is playing like interesting characters that are different from how people perceive her to be.
Yeah.
And she's never really gotten the opportunity.
There's a Time magazine article about The Brother's Son and that talks a little bit about that. And I'm going to read the quote. Sometime between age 40 and 50, when their male counterparts are still getting cast as superheroes and romantic leads, most women in Hollywood get shunted into the blandest of supporting roles, somebody's mom. But Michelle Yeoh, at 61, is not the typical star. Over the last several years, the icon of Hong Kong martial arts cinema has reshaped a tired archetype in her own fierce image. From her delectably imperious performance as Eleanor Young in Crazy Rich Asians to her Oscar-winning turn in the multiverse-traversing Evelyn Wang in Everything Everywhere All at Once, Yeoh isn't just playing mothers, she's reinventing the matriarch. I love that last line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
And it's just like the idea that she gets to do this, in her 60s now in Hollywood. That's amazing.
Well, she's obviously got people working, like want to work with her to create these roles, which I think is exciting when you're at that point.
Yeah.
Where someone's like, we want you so bad, we'll create a role for you. And also just when you read that line, I just think, oh my God, how frustrating it is. I mean, like the fact that, like the shunting off to be like some kind of sad mother that pops in occasionally. Oh my God, like it's so depressing. And this is much better. Yeah.
Yeah. No, this is incredible. The other thing I was thinking of this week, like Oscar nominations came out this week and Greta Lee did not get nominated for Past Lives, which, really sucks. And, But there's been this speech that's been making the rounds that she gave at this awards show that she was honored at. And I'm paraphrasing, but she basically was just saying, like, Past Lives is the first movie ever, or first role she's ever had that, like, she's not a supporting character. Like, it stars her. She's the main character. She gets to have all the main character, like the fully fleshed out main character things. She's not there in service of somebody else's storyline. It's about her and just how remarkable it feels for her to, like, finally, after so long, you know, have this opportunity. And it's an opportunity she obviously should have had ages and ages and ages ago. But, like, I think about that a lot too, in terms of the supporting character roles that a lot of Asian women are cast in, and having main character vibes and bringing that main character energy. Like, they'll have main character vibes, but they never get the main character roles. And it's very exciting to hear that, like, Michelle's going to become like one of the biggest forces of the show. Like, I can't wait to watch the rest of it.
You know, it's like you're quoting The Holiday.
But Lisa, I think what you mentioned before is, like, the key to it, right? Like, she's inspiring these writers to write stories for her.
Yeah.
And that's what people need to happen, right? Like to get those parts. Because I'm sure, you know, Greta Lee is just was just inundated with just like, you're auditioning for this part of The Best Friend. You're auditioning for this part of, and it was like just always a supporting role to like a character. And so I think, like, yeah, it must be quite shocking for her to be like, oh no, you're auditioning for the lead in this time.
Well, I think ultimately you hope to never to audition again, right? So I think right now she's at a place where it's all, this is my role and it was written for me.
Yeah. But, like, you just need someone like a director or a writer to, like, start writing stuff for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all. No big deal. It's fine.
Well, yeah, it's just like Greta Gerwig writes roles for her favorite actors, like Saoirse Ronan, and, you know, like, the same people kind of appear in the work of auteurs, like, they go back to the same actors.
Yeah.
Well, Wes Anderson's used the same people, I think, forever, right? Yeah.
No, for sure.
But it's just amazing that, you know, like, people are now choosing to write parts for Asian actors.
Yeah. And I also really love, like, the supporting cast in The Brother's Son.
Yes.
Like, I haven't watched ahead, so I can't speak to this as somebody who knows what's coming. But I just thought, like, in the first episode, the minute or so we got of Jenny Zhang is so great, and I love her so. And I love her as a person on Instagram, and she's a great author, and just the fact that, like, she's moving into film now and, like, television, I'm so excited about that. Like, and she's a comic and stuff like that. And Alice Hukin, who played May, like, I know that she's got, like, this identical sister, so she's going to be playing that identical sister, June. But, like, I'm just so thrilled by these, like, supporting characters. And
yeah, it's just like all these female characters in this film, in this series, just like they're all fully fleshed out. They all have their own purpose. Like, they're not just there as, you know, like a side pieces or whatever, throwaway characters. And even, like, Madison Hugh as Grace, who I don't think she's in the first few episodes. She's like,
no, she is. She's in school with him.
She's in the second episode because she talks about
wanting to see him do improv.
Yes.
Yeah.
She just becomes better and better as the series goes along. And to me, like, that is an amazing Asian character to see on screen, because she is this funny and not kind of, I don't want to, like, she's obviously really smart, but she's just this, like, regular girl that is friends with Bruce. And I really appreciate that.
I was just looking up
That's so nice.
about Heidi Kwan, who's playing the DA, playing Alexis Kong, the deputy district attorney, who it turns out she was in You. But oh my God, this depresses me so much. She's only 25. I just find, anyway, whatever. Just an aside.
I'm excited. I'm excited that she's only 25. It's a good thing.
Well, no, there's great things.
She's already
it's
so
a great
talented.
thing. I know. I'm just saying. Anyway, yeah. She's probably been acting since she was 10 or something. Yeah.
I mean, I was earlier when we mentioned Golden Girls. Actually, if you really want to think about it, Michelle Yeoh, 61. I think most of the actors in Golden Girls were in their mid-50s when they were cast as literal Golden Girls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I say this as someone who is, I'm turning 45 tomorrow, and I'm okay with it. I feel good about it. I'm excited, whatever, like no big deal. But I think about how I'm getting closer to the age that the Golden Girls were when I first watched that show and what our understanding is of aging and how much it has changed. It's gosh, Michelle is just the coolest person in the world, and I just
absolutely.
I mean, look, so was B. Arthur. Like, it's fine, but just very different sort of ways that they got to embody 60.
Well, yeah, but there's like
40-year difference between where they were and where they are.
There's a couple of accounts I follow on Netflix Instagram, that people show how hair has made such a difference. And like they put like Golden Girls hair on other people, and then for conversely, they put long hair on the Golden Girls as well. And they all look like, they look like J-Lo, who is 54 and things, right? So it's quite fascinating and to see that difference. So like, that show, it was like, hey, you're 50, you're going to have to start wearing a tight perm now. Like, that's it. Sorry. We've decided, and that's what society expects of you.
Yeah. One of the main things I saw going around last week was Alice from the Brady Bunch was 43.
Yeah.
In the Brady Bunch.
I think I just died a tiny bit inside.
You think that Carol Brady would have pulled her aside once and gone, this look is not doing you favors. Like, just, I know you've got Sam the Butcher there, but really, it's just not doing you any favors.
Let's all just think about that for.
Don't spend too much time in that though, because I've decided I'm looking ahead. I'm looking at Michelle Yeoh as a role model and an icon to whom I can aspire on some small level in any way. The other thing that I just wanted to touch on, because one of the things that has come up in a few different articles that I was reading, and I think AG, you touched on this a little bit earlier, but the show and it's debated in two different articles about like the level of success it has in skewering stereotypes about Asian people, and I think it's doing a pretty good job. The Time magazine article says that it's smart about noting the contradictions inherent in Hollywood's reductive Asian stereotypes, the quote-unquote model minority nerd versus the cutthroat gangster versus the so-called tiger mom, without congratulating itself for the trenchant critique. Whereas The Guardian thinks that it actually, and the Guardian also compliments it for successfully subverting cultural Asian stereotypes as well. And I think it's pretty brilliant at like what it's doing. And I don't know if it stays brilliant, but I'm sure it does. I have faith in it. AG?
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I think it is subverting it, because like, even I think that they're on the outside, you see them in these roles where you think, oh, Tiger Mom, but like Michelle adds all these dimensions, and you see that she is really ever so soft towards Bruce, her baby. Through it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think there's just like all of these very culturally accurate nuances to these characters that makes you understand that like there's so much going on beneath the surface of what they seem to be on the outset.
Yeah. Well, I know where I stand. I think it pops.
Yeah, this is my favorite thing I've seen in a very long time. So yeah, I think it pops too.
I'll give it a pop, but I am hoping it picks up because I'm feeling a bit lagging. But I'll stay with it.
Well, there have been
I hope so.
there have been critiques that have said like it should have been a bit shorter, like that they sort of like pull it out a little bit too long. So I mean, maybe
I can see that around like episodes 5 and 6 probably could have been a bit. They could have sped up the story a bit more. But yeah, there's an amazing episode that takes place mostly in a Korean spa, which
I can't wait.
Yeah, it's genius. If you've ever been to a Korean spa,
I'll just be really jealous. Yes, I have many times.
You'll love it. Yeah.
Yes, I will.
It's a lot of murdering happening in it.
Oh, okay. Well, I've never seen that, but yeah.
But it's genius.
I can't wait. Did they get to eat fried chicken in this Korean spa? Because I remember that's one of the things you telling me was like the Korean spa and like
They don't quite get to that stage.
Okay.
Due to the murdering.
Fair enough. What are you gonna do?
Due to the murdering. Murdering always gets in the way of a good time.
Yeah.
It really does. No one gets to eat the fried chicken they want when they gotta go murder. All right. Well, we also love to leave our episodes on something additional that we recommend. Lisa, do you want to go first?
Well, I think there's going to be a duel. Okay. We're doubling up.
You and
here.
AG.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Present your findings.
Yes, we both have watched the quite wonderful Nyad on Netflix, starring Annette Bening and Jodie Foster, which I don't know if it got any other nominations, but I know both of them got nominated for Best Actress and Best Supporting Actress. I don't know if it got any technical awards or anything like that, but I really have a soft spot for sports movies. Like they're very tight. You know what they're going to be about. We start with the problem, we end when it gets solved. It's very, and it's just a very.
But so
they're great. Mm-hmm.
It's a biopic about Diana Nyad's multiple attempts to swim from Cuba to Florida and how she finally succeeds at age 64. Speaking of,
like what a dovetail into our
who are flourishing in their 60s, but to swim from Cuba to Florida without a shark cage at age 64, and to me, like just watching it, like Annette Bening and Jodie Foster are such great actors that it's just like kind of like this movie is just like they have such great chemistry, like they're so believable in their roles. Like I went into it not expecting much when I saw it, but like at the end I just found myself like tears streaming down my face, and yeah, it's just like a very moving story, and I recommend everybody should watch it.
Yeah, and I'm not. I just want to say too that I don't. I've seen a couple of interviews with the real Diana Nyad, and but they're interviews. But what I really appreciated about the movie was they certainly didn't try and soften her character at all. She's tough and she's hard and she's not super friendly. She's very focused, and I really appreciated not having to try and sort of like, we'll give her a little bit more charisma here or not. No, this is a very focused movie, and I really appreciated that.
Mm-hmm. Fascinating. Well, I get the feeling we're going to do it on the podcast, so I probably will watch it very, very soon. I'm excited. Thank you. I'm recommending, so I've continued my classics sort of perusal in terms of reading, and I read Anne of Green Gables for the very first time.
Wow.
The very
That's
first
such
time.
a lovely journey you're going on of reading classics.
Yeah, I'm excited.
That you didn't get around to in your childhood. I think that's such a nice thing.
Thank you. I'm excited. Like, just it feels like a real gift to myself. And this time I also did an audiobook, and it was the Rachel McAdams read it, and
Wow.
I thought
Okay.
she did a great job. And man alive, did I just weep my face off in the final few chapters, because I knew where it was heading. I've seen the show when I was younger, but I'd never read it. So anyways, and then the
Are you mixing some cordial up in your kitchen right now?
can you imagine? I absolutely should. No, my mom was reminding me that, like, I am, through marriage, distantly related to Lucy Maude Montgomery.
Really?
And apparently she was my Uncle Ken's aunt. My Uncle Ken was
That's not
from
that
there.
very
He was
distant.
Wow.
He was married to my Aunt Libby. He's not my blood relation.
Oh,
he was
okay,
married to
yeah.
my Aunt Libby, who's my blood relation. But anyway, yeah, she was my Uncle Ken's aunt. And I feel like I think, like, maybe that's why I didn't end up reading the books when I was younger, because everyone just they were like, you are a reader, and you're a writer, and your name's Andrea, and we all call you Anne. You have to read these books. And I think it was so, like, forced upon me as a child, and I was such a dumb little, rebel, that I just resisted, and fully regret that 17-year-old me did not have this book to fall back on at that point in my life. So anyway, nice little hug to 17-year-old me, and thrilled that I read it. And if anybody else hasn't read it, please do. It's great.
Yay.
Yeah, it's a beloved classic.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
For a reason.
It's
For
also
reasons.
just, like, I was thinking of, like, how cool it is that it makes space for, like, a non-traditional family at a time when that was, and it also makes space for, like, the importance of the interior lives of girls. And anyway, I understand that it's a classic for all the reasons that I'm saying, but also just like, oh wow, like, it was really quite ahead of its time on a lot of levels.
Yeah.
Yay.
Anyway, this is Andrea Hot Take Late to the Party Warner signing off.
Next week
Adam
she
Green
brings
Gables
us
is
the
a
Bible.
great read, everybody.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if I brought you the Bible? That would be a wild recommend for me, I gotta say. All right. Thanks everyone for listening, for hanging out with us. We finally posted our yearly photo to Instagram. Will it be more frequent this year? Maybe. Got to see how busy we are.
Yep.
But anyway, it's, we're here. We're around. We'd love to hear from you. popthiscollective@gmail.com. And if you'd like to rate us 5 stars, that's
We
great.
love a good 5 stars. And we also love our Andrea Gin, who is our co-host and producer here at the Pop This Incorporated. Are we incorporated? No, we're not incorporated.
No.
I just like the idea.
Not yet.
No.
I mean, it
All
sounds
right.
fun, but a lot of paperwork.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.